Good afternoon, I'm David Howard Beahrs, president of the Jonathan Robert Fielding Company here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and welcome to Tobaq Fact Number 2. For those of you who saw Tobaq Fact Number 1, you know we're actually in the city of Roseville, but no one knows where that is, so we still use the St. Paul address. St. Paul's a half a block down there. Today's subject is how to pick out a cigar. The subject of today's presentation is how to pick out a cigar. This is aimed primarily at those of you who've recently joined the cigar smoking fraternity but would like a little more information on the basics of the subject. Also, cigar smoking continues to rise in popularity, and there are a lot of non-cigar smokers out there who are giving gifts of cigars more and more often, and they too would like a little more information before they go into the cigar shop the first time. This is what we'd like to do. Now, for you veterans out there, this is just our way of inviting people to join what is an absolutely enjoyable and fascinating world, and so here goes. If you're purchasing cigars for a formal occasion, get everybody the same thing. This being the month of June, we have a lot of people coming in here for weddings, and for groomsmen, for example, it's a good idea not to ruffle any feathers. Everybody gets the same thing. In my opinion, the more interesting part, though, is the informal gathering. And that's when, if say there are 6 people getting together, get 6 different types of cigars, 6 different brands, 6 different types, leaves, lengths, everything like that. But do try to keep it in approximately the same price range. What this does is to generate an incredible amount of very interesting discussion. As people try the product, they may be matching it with some of their favorite beverages, and you can get kind of a penny education this way when everybody throws in what they think of the product. And of course, the most traditional time is after dinner. At that time, you're going to have probably a better product. This is the time for camaraderie, sitting back, having a very fine beverage with a cigar, and having time to do it. And I stress that so much because to me, when I light a good cigar, I want to be able to smoke it all the way down to the end without interruption. The opposite state is something like, well, the good news is you get a free gourmet meal. The bad news is you have 15 minutes to eat it. It just takes all the enjoyment out of it. So before you even go into the shop, do decide how much time you have for it and the circumstances under which it will be smoked. The first thing you will notice upon entering a premium cigar shop is a mind-boggling array of choices. There seem to be hundreds of brands, and within each brand there are all these different sizes, and within these sizes there are different wrappers, and underneath that wrapper are different kinds of binders, and inside the binder are different kinds of fillers. And where did all these names come from? Torpedo and Churchill. How did the filler get there in the first place? Are these handmade? Are they hand-rolled? What's the difference? Are they machine-made? I think we can figure that one out. But it seems to go on and on and on. So what an avalanche of terms. What we're going to do here is to start at the top and go through it point by point and just demystify the subject. Now, I can't promise that at the end you're going to be a cigar expert overnight, but you will have a good basic working knowledge of the subject. And always remember, at least here at the JR Fielding Company, there's no such thing as a stupid question, and so always ask the questions that you want to. As you are entering the cigar shop, always remember, we are in a luxury business, and you as a customer of this business are entitled to luxury level service. This is one-on-one attention. And once you get inside, believe me, you're going to be glad that we're there. It'll really come in handy. Let's start off with ring gauge. Ring gauge on a cigar is the diameter down here expressed in 64ths of an inch. So if you had a cigar that was a 64 ring gauge, it'd be 1 inch across. Length is just measured in inches. This one happens to be a 6-inch long cigar by a 50 ring gauge. Now here's an old ring gauge that's been around here for probably about 20 years. And what we're going to do, this is 50 right there, you'll notice, that's how that old ring gauge works. So if you're referring to this cigar, simply by size you'd say, well, I'm looking for a 6x50, what do you have? The most important part of the cigar is the wrapper. This is the outside portion, the leaf right here on the outside of the cigar. This is where the vast majority of the flavor of a cigar actually comes from. Case in point, one day we discovered we had a damaged cigar in here, and I just ripped off the entire wrapper down to the binder and smoked the cigar without the wrapper, and I'm here to tell you it was like cake without the icing. Depending upon which source that you decide to use, there can be up to 10 different shades. We're going to deal with the basic 3 shades here. There's the double claro or clarissimo, there is the natural, and there is the maduro. Now, do be aware that between these there are sub-designations known as Colorado, and over here is one called Oscuro, very dark, almost jet black cigar. For our purposes here today, I want to stick with the 3 main shades. And just for information, this light green one also goes by the designation American Market Selection. This light tan one right here in the middle, the natural, is also known as the English Market Selection. And the dark one over here, the Maduro, also goes by the name Spanish Market Selection. Each one is going to have a flavor and a texture unique to it. This one tends to be a little more acrid, but a little bit lighter. The most popular cigar on the market today is the one right here in the middle, the English Market Selection. If you have a sweet tooth, and I have a sweet tooth about the size of Montana, you will find that the Maduro is the cigar that you'll probably like. One thing here I'd like to clear up right now, a darker cigar is not necessarily a stronger flavor, it is just richer. So I've seen people in the past put down a Maduro saying, you know, that's just too strong for me. What they really mean, it's too rich. It's sort of like 2 pieces of pecan pie. Going from the outside of the cigar in, we now come to the binder. This is the leaf directly under the wrapper, which we just discussed a moment ago. What the binder does is exactly as the name implies. It holds everything together. This is the leaf that holds the filler, which is the center part of the cigar, in place, and it provides the platform for the outside of the cigar. There is one manufacturer, for example, on his double Maduro, remember the Maduro over here, who uses an outside leaf of Maduro and the binder as a Maduro too, and that does have an impact on the flavor.